Hello and welcome to this special broadcast recapping what took place in Canberra with the horrific war crimes carried out by government, such as the use of sonic weapons and chemical trails. The photos and testimonies have been truly shocking. For those of you that haven't seen my coverage of the Convoy to Canberra protest, footage and interviews on location, I urge everybody to check that out. A link will be in the description. But before we delve into today's show further, I'd like to give the viewers an update on my current legal situation. My court case has been adjourned till the 27th of May. That will be for a hearing done by WebEx. But yes, carrying on, we'll be hearing from some of the victims that have suffered from radiation poisoning. So let's cross over to those interviews now. So joining me is Karen. Firstly, I want to say how much it saddens me to hear that you've suffered from radiation poisoning like so many others. It's really diabolical what's happening. Can you please share what you've endured with the viewers?
Well, I went to Canberra and I went 2 times. First time was very brief, for 2 days. I didn't actually go to any rallies then, but the second time I found it wasn't just from the rally that the sickness occurred from. It was actually from the Camp Epic as well, exhibition campground. And now a lot of people got sick. A heck of a lot of people, and I was one of them. So yeah, my sickness was more internal, flu-like symptoms, whereas a lot of people got the skin blistering. You know, there's a lot of accounts of people getting herpes, face swellings, and there was people like me who got the internal symptoms, flu-like, and I just felt like my insides were burning on fire. And it was a horrible feeling. I actually felt this really horrible dead weight feeling on me come over me. Felt like I was going to die for a while there. And this is I think the second week I've been back from Canberra, or the third. I think it's the second, and I'm still not 100%. So who knows the long-term damage it's done to people? I mean, my brain fog is still there. I can't think straight sometimes. I feel like I've got some sort of, damage, neurological damage. So I'm about to go to the doctors the next couple of days and get a report from the doctors and have some tests done and see if there's any damage. It's quite concerning.
It is very concerning, very scary what's taking place. And there were people with meters taking readings of the radiation levels that were absolutely off the charts. And yes, it's frightening that this would be happening, a very serious crime against humanity. People there suffering. They've explained very similar symptoms. It felt like their organs were cooking. They've literally been microwaved and unable to hold down water, migraines, and yeah, how long this is going to go on for, and the long-term damage that can be done, leading to cancer and a whole range of problems down the track. You're doing a very smart thing by going to the doctors and having it all recorded and documented and approaching independent media. How long have your symptoms been going on for?
Well, this is the end of the second. Well, this is actually the beginning of the third week now, is it? Actually, no, Thursday. Yeah, this is actually the third week. And it's radiation sickness. So, yeah, I just want to get back to my normal self. And I'm thinking, when is it going to happen? You know?
And the fact that they would be doing this to innocent people that are campaigning for freedom, it shows the level of evil that we're dealing with here. Now, you've seen people suffering similar experiences and really battling through. So it's quite obvious that this all occurred at Canberra, and that's where it stems from.
For sure. And the police have admitted to using the direct energy weapons, which they call refer to is the long-range acoustic device. Now, that's the word that's been thrown around, but from my research I've been doing, it's more direct energy weapons that they used on the people. Now, this was all planned, I believe. This was all planned to deter people from going to Canberra. They don't want people going in Canberra at all. They don't want people at the camps. But it's too bad, you know, because people will do what they want to do anyway. And good, I hope they do go. But they need to be smart. They need to shield themselves, whether it's orgonite, copper, shungite, whatever. They need to shield themselves and protect themselves, because this may set a precedent. This may happen again now that they know that they can get away with it, which I hope they don't, because I heard that there's Malcolm Roberts is taking taking symptoms, listing symptoms. Our Voices Matter are also another one, taking a list of people's symptoms. So let's hope they don't get away with it, because if they do, they will use these weapons again at future rallies, maybe even Melbourne, who knows? And that's what a lot of us are afraid of. We want to be able to protest peacefully without thinking, oh no, you know, am I going to get hit with a direct energy weapon today? You know, and a lot of it's driven by the 5G frequencies, which I believe that they've recently turned up on the mobile phone towers. So I don't know if you know too much about that.
That's exactly right, and very well said. That's an accurate description of what's taking place, and good advice to some people that avoided some of the harsher effects of these weapons, the long-range acoustic devices, the chemical trails being sprayed on top. They did protect themselves with shungite, copper, and yes, other tactics that they used to minimize some of the damage, and they owe a lot of their recovery rates due to that fact in itself. So yes, we have to be mindful of this. They're doing their best to prevent people from heading to Canberra. You're exactly right. They don't want people protesting. They want to disable our capacity to stand up for freedom. It just goes to show the lengths that they're heading to, the direct energy weapons, the 5G. They're ratcheting up the attacks. And yeah, I can hear you coughing and wheezing.
Oh,
it's so sad. It's so heart-wrenching to see the Australian public going through this. And we have to do everything possible to put a stop to it, because that's right. It will be a permanent installment at protests, these sound cannons. And
we hope not.
Yeah, that's right. So we have to file class actions. We have to email everyone in positions of power, take video, take photographs. We've seen people with their lips peeling, faces swollen, red, and crying, unable to hold down water. Have you been able to eat and drink during this terrible
Well,
period?
I've lost my appetite. No, I didn't throw up, but I always felt nauseous, like I wanted to throw up. So I've lost my sense of smell and taste, which is very similar to COVID. But I know it's not COVID, because I don't believe in it for a start, that it's an actual virus. I believe it's radiation sickness. And yeah, the appetite has gone. I mean, the constant coughing, that's been a thing only just recently. And it's my body trying to detox all the crap out. But sleepless nights, my sleep pattern's gone. You know, I can't get a full night's sleep like I used to. Yeah. Just the irritated throat and the brain fog, you know, is the worst. Yeah. But the fever, I was getting bad fever as well, like constantly getting hot flushes come over me, which was quite severe at times, and especially in the first week after coming back from Canberra. But the thing is, I didn't get sick the first 2 days after arriving back, and it wasn't until the third day that I had actually arrived back home until I started to feel the full effects of the symptoms, which was quite strange.
Quite strange, but very common. I'm hearing those testimonies quite frequently. It was a delayed effect. And when they got home, that's when it hit them all at once. People losing all energy. They literally had to crawl to the bathroom and crying because it felt like these symptoms were never going to end. And people are in a great deal of distress over this, and as they should be. It literally is horrendous, and we cannot allow this to continue. It's a
What
war
about yourself?
crime.
What about yourself, Jeff? You were in Canberra, weren't you?
That's right. I
Did
spent some time at the bottom stage near the old Parliament House, and some of the people that were gathering there, some of the effects that were minimised. They didn't suffer as much as some of the people up towards Parliament House. They copped the worst of it because they were close to some of this weaponry. And a lot of the people that stayed there longer copped it even more severe. Now, I minimised some of the risk because I spent a couple of nights in a hotel, which I'm grateful for. So I believe that, that gave me an added level of protection, whereas some people were left exposed and they were just getting attacked left, right and centre from air to land. We even had the chemical trails. They were relentless spraying that. And did you notice those as well when you were there?
Yes, I've got pictures of it. Coming out of Canberra, that we actually saw the plane going across spraying, and many people have sent in photos to various websites and on Facebook and whatnot. But yeah, there's a lot of it going on, and all these things combined. The LED lights around the Camp Epic were everywhere, always on 24/7. I don't know if they've got 5G built into them or not. There's a lot of speculation they have, but they contributed to the sickness, I'm sure that they did actually. And and we actually saw the police utility driving around with that sonar device on top of it. And I remember hearing it on the Saturday morning of the rally. I remember distinctly them testing it, hearing that alarm sound, the testing sound going off. So, yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing.
They certainly did. Silent weapons for quiet wars. What we've seen here in Melbourne, we've seen extreme police brutality. We've seen them really taking violence and aggression towards the people. In Canberra, it was done in a more subtle way. The techniques they were using were harder to distinguish and observe. Now, some people did take photos of what was appearing to be some type of sound box, some speaker or satellite that was believed to be the root cause of this. Did you witness anything like that? I know the police had earplugs in to protect themselves.
Well, the police should have done the right thing and applied their duty of, don't they have a duty of care to the citizens?
You and definitely think so, to serve and protect, but they certainly don't do that. It's attack and harass.
That part of that duty of care is to hand out, the right thing would have been to hand out earplugs to the crowd. And there was a policeman's, there's footage, I don't know if you've seen it, of a man with his teenage daughter. And he went right up to the policeman at the rally and he said, can you please, we noticed you've got a spare pair of earplugs on you. Can you give one of those to my daughter? And he had a Chupa Chup lollipop next to the earplugs. He said, you want to give her the Chupa Chup or the earplugs? I wouldn't give her neither. And they had spare earplugs that many police were seen with them in their pockets. They could have done the right thing, and they would have probably been heroes for it if they had been seen handing out earplugs to people, because if we had have had earplugs in, we wouldn't have got sick. I was told through this weapon, it goes in through the ear. So it's interesting how it works, They
are very heartless and evil, and they know exactly what they're doing. They're responsible for atrocities and harming so many innocent people. And
it's a crime against humanity.
It certainly is. I can only imagine that they're going to go to hell for doing that. And it really, I'm fuming over it. It really makes me wild to think that they'd ramp up the attacks to that level when they know they're in the wrong. And these people responsible for this, they deserve to be punished. That's why we need these class actions. We need to go through the right channels, get all the people that have suffered from this to band together and take legal action, because
Yes.
we cannot allow this to happen. Innocent women, men and children being harmed, and all they want is for the best for their country. They're standing up, doing the right things for peace and prosperity, and then as a result they get targeted with a combination of weapons. It really is upsetting. So you have a doctor's appointment you'll be following up on?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Tomorrow, actually.
Absolutely. Yep. Be sure to take photocopies and keep in touch. I want to hear how this is all progressing. I truly hope you make a full recovery, and any updates, yes, definitely be sure to message through. You've done the right thing today, Karen, by sharing your story. Yeah, hopefully others do not feel alone in this situation. They'll be able to know that, it'll be very comforting. Might be able to get some results and put a stop to this so this never happens again. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
So joining me is Rubes from Queensland. Thanks for appearing on the show. It's terribly saddening what's taking place with the sonic weaponry that's being used. It's really appalling that the government is doing this. Please elaborate for the viewers what you've been suffering through.
G'day, Jeff. I'd just like to apologise for not having an image there. There's something happened to my webcam. It's not working. But I didn't get sick from Canberra. Sorry, I didn't get sick in Canberra when I was there. I was there for about 10 days from the 4th to the 14th. My symptoms started when I got home. So I left Canberra on the Monday morning, which was the 14th. I left there at about 8 o'clock in the morning, got home about 11:30 at night. And when I went to bed, I immediately started feeling cold, like shivering cold, you know. So I thought that was weird because we're in the summer and I'm on the Gold Coast. So I went and got a blanket, extra blanket, put it over myself, went back to sleep. And then I woke up sometime later feeling really hot, like the hot and cold chills, but it didn't have any sort of a nausea or anything that associated with it. It was just hot and cold. My skin was either really cold or really hot. And that sort of alternated all night, didn't get any sleep. And then the next day, obviously very tired, very fatigued, headaches. And that continued for probably about 2.5 days. Just all I wanted to do was sleep. And then on the Thursday, I think it was, I started feeling a bit better. And my mum wanted me to take her to the Q-scan place, which does x-rays and ultrasounds and all that sort of stuff. And she needed to go and see a doctor there. And when I picked her up and she hopped in the car, I immediately started feeling nauseous like I've never felt before. Now, I'm going to say that it was, this might sound a bit crazy, but I'm not going to say it was because she obviously was in a place where there's radiation. And normally, you know, you wouldn't feel it. Normally, you wouldn't feel that kind of radiation, but that's why the doctors and nurses there have to wear those lead vests and the lead gowns, because they're around it all the time. But because I've obviously been dosed up with something down in Canberra, and then I got a secondary one from my mum coming out of that doctor's, made me really crook. You know, I couldn't wait to get home and get some fresh air out of that car. And then it put me back into another 2 or 3 days of fatigue and no sleep and headaches and nausea.
It's shocking to hear, and very common from what is being reported, the same type of symptoms: hot and cold flushes, people feeling nauseous, lack of energy, as well as severe burns, blisters, people's lips peeling. But yes, and you definitely drew a link to Canberra when you've seen people suffering along the same lines as you.
Absolutely. I didn't get any burns per se, like we're seeing. I did get the chapped lips. I mean, everyone had that. I saw some people with some really beetroot looking heads, you know, like they had like nose peeling, red cheeks. I didn't get any of that because I used a chapstick
Mhm.
and that kind of kept it under control. And I wore a pretty good hat, but that's not to say that what they've got is not part of it, because I've seen some really bad blisters on people that normally you wouldn't associate with sunburn. And my symptoms were more on the inside than they were, physical on the outside.
Mhm. Yes, and that's being reported as well. A lot of internal trouble. People feel like their organs have been microwaved. They're
Yeah,
unable to hold down water. And yes, it's horrific. And seeing the sonic weaponry, the satellites, and all the equipment that's being used, it really is devastating to see. And it's, yes, it's definitely very much a concern. And it's also been reported on that they're ordering 6 more of these LRAD machines, these long-range acoustic devices, and they're ramping it up even further. That's frightening, isn't it?
well, it is. I mean, whatever it is that they're doing with them, and whether it's even them, it might be something else that we don't know about. It's definitely putting something into people, because I'm still not 100%. I don't have the hot and cold flushes and that anymore, but I've definitely still got fatigue. I could go to sleep just like that, like it wouldn't be a problem.
How long have you
And
been experiencing these symptoms, Rubes?
well, pretty much since I got back from Canberra. I mean,
Right.
I'm okay. I don't have any dizziness now. I don't have any nausea. I don't have any hot and cold sweats now, but I'm still quite tired. Last night I slept from 6, I think, till 6, right through till 6 in the morning, like 12 hours,
So it's definitely knocking you around.
And I'm sure there's thousands of other people in the same boat as well.
Absolutely. How do you feel about military grade weaponry being used on the public?
Oh, it's shocking. I don't think of it as military grade. I mean, they go for the cheapest bidder, don't they? So does that mean that military grade is better than, something else? I just think that's the technology they got and they're using it, and it's disgraceful. It's a war crime.
It most certainly is. Did you notice any of the weaponry when you were there?
Yeah. Yep. You can't miss them. They're big square speakers, and as I said before, do we really know that's what it was? I mean, it could have been something more nefarious. I saw the big speaker on the back of a boat in Lake Burley Griffin on the 4th of February when we got shunted out of the National Library. We were camping there. I got there the night before, and that boat was about 100 meters offshore, but that speaker was as loud as it was right up to your face. You know what I mean? And they were telling people to get out, and they had black-clad cops there with rifles and dogs, and so they were itching to do something, I think, that morning,
Yes, it's very frightening. And you mentioned your partner as well was struck down from some of the same sickness.
She didn't get sick straight away. She got sick probably on the Tuesday. She got really bad, raspy, razor blade throat and ear problems, like really painful, like she had an inner ear infection. And I don't believe COVID gives you an inner ear infection,
Yes,
and she's only coming good now too, but she had the fatigue as well.
Yeah, I'm absolutely livid that this took place, and it makes my blood boil thinking that this is going to continue into the future. So I applaud the fact that you're doing your best to speak up about this horrible experience that you've endured. It's very good to expose this crime that's taking place against humanity. I hope you make a full recovery, and excellent work turning up and doing what's right for your country and showing up at Canberra. Thank you very much, Rubes.
Thanks a lot, Jeff, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world, mate.
So joining the show is George, who has a background in broadcasting and was in Canberra operating as a member of the independent media like myself. Thanks for coming on the program. Can you please explain to the viewers what you've been suffering through in regards to the radiation and the sonic weaponry used, please?
Okay, well, I was working for ANR News, that's Jamie McIntyre. Not here to promote that part, but So as an independent person, but I actually am quite independent, if you know what I mean. What happened was Wayne Crouch actually showed me some images of chemtrails that were being blasted over the area. Actually had images of a jet flying over, and it was, I don't know if you saw that, Jeff, but anyhow, after I'd finished, I went back to my wife and her friend, and they looked at me and said, "What's happened to you? Your face is completely red." And I said, "Oh, I don't know, I feel fine." I said, No, you've been badly burnt." So I didn't feel, I felt okay, but late, I noticed you were wearing sunscreen and so forth, by the way. So don't know how you went. How did you go, Jeff, with your sunscreen?
Luckily, I bumped into a friend who had some sunscreen on them and offered some. And yeah, it was during the hottest part of the day. So yeah, I accepted that. But I did notice the chemtrailing. That was relentless from the time I arrived at Canberra right to the time I left. Luckily, I managed to stay at a hotel a couple of nights. So I think that prevented a lot of the exposure, which I was very grateful for. But yeah, seeing some of the images and hearing some of the testimonies, I was mortified. And some of the people that are close to me suffering, it really upset me, and I was distraught seeing it. So what were some of the symptoms that you experienced?
Oh, look, I just had classic sunburn, Jeff. I can only say that I've had a bit of a throat issue, in my opinion, of what I'm seeing. And I think we're not going to win this unless we become the leaders.
Absolutely
You know,
right. Now,
like,
it was a combined attack with the chemtrails and the sonic weaponry. A lot of people that were up at the top stage during the speeches, they seemed to cop the full brunt of the attack. Now, I was down at the bottom stage, fortunately, because I had a couple of friends there. So I think that minimized the exposure as well.
The stage, Jeff?
Yes.
When you say stage, just for the viewers, are you talking about the old Parliament end of the
correct.
stage, where United Australia Party was? And the other end, did we have Ricardo Bossi?
That's correct. Up the top towards Parliament, yes.
Which is where that big pyramid thing is.
Absolutely.
On the hill.
Now, did you see they had a van with a satellite dish on top, and it was reported that the police had earplugs in to protect themselves? Did you witness anything along those lines?
I didn't. I went there knowing that the size of the event and the amount of people, no one could actually get a view of what's going on except from above. Now, there's a video going out showing the crowd, an aerial shots, and they really did show the crowd. The media have reported it as 10,000 people, which is a joke. Even if I wanted to be conservative, if I said 300,000, that would be conservative. And I know there was more. That's a big difference between 10,000 and 300,000. So the way I see it, Jeff, you've been watching this for some time. I should say, because everybody's watching us, they're probably wondering, who is this guy? They know you because you've been around a while. I'm ex-MSM, which is the enemy.
So it's horrendous what people are suffering through. Can you please explain to the viewers just what you've experienced, please, Kathleen?
Intense burning.
Yeah.
Like when we were there, I know when sun goes through your clothes and everything, but this was more than that. This was really intense. And then I got burns on my face where around my nose and everything, my skin was peeling, and on my arm, I still have some peeling. On my arm, and I had sores on my lips.
Very upsetting. And this is not attributed to just your common sunburn. You noticed it's quite unusual considering the fact that it's burning right through your clothes.
I've had chemical burns before from sunscreen around my ankles, so I know it wasn't sunburn, and I know it wasn't just from the sun. It was a lot more. Something almost like certain rays were targeting people and making sure they got targeted. I can't explain, but it's almost like we're being cooked.
And how long have your symptoms lasted?
Probably 10 days.
Very-
Around my face is okay, but I've still got some skin peeling on my arm.
Now, when you were at Canberra, did you notice any of the speakers or satellites that were situated, some of the weaponry being used?
They were up in Canberra. They were like on the right-hand side walking across the bridge to the new Parliament House. I saw a whole lot of vehicles there, and I'm sure they had some things set up. And I saw some at Parliament House, and then all the cops walked down to Old Parliament House, put earphones in, and whatever they did, they let it rip.
Yes, it's clearly a criminal operation. That's right. Yet verifies what other people have stated as well. The law enforcement there had earplugs in, so they made sure they were protected while the public was put directly in harm's way. You would substantiate that?
It wasn't just a few people. It's like they tried to target every single person, millions of us there.
Horrendous experience. Have you?
Yeah, and you shouldn't be doing this to people. Like, people have the right and the freedom to protest. We shouldn't be allowed to be burnt or cooked by a microwave. Whatever they were, it was not a lard. It was something in the machine disguised as a lard.
Yes, it really is upsetting. Well, look, I thank you for sharing your story. I encourage everybody to take video, photographs, document any rashes, blisters or burns, and pass that on, email it through to independent media like myself. Or
do we have a legal team going to court for legal action against this?
Yep. I believe Senator Malcolm Roberts is in control.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening to me.